Hey, football fans, this is Gary Greene in Las Vegas, longtime sports handicapper and professional sports bettor here for Gary Wins Videos. And this is your Thursday night, week number 8 preview between the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams. And the Vikings, a road 3-point favorite. The total here is 48. The Vikings come in 5-1 and just missed an opportunity to start the season 6-0 as they lose a heartbreaker to Detroit on a last-second field goal in week number 7. As far as the Rams go, they're 2-4. They're 2-1 at home, but obviously, they are missing some very key pieces when you're losing your two top wide receivers and two of the best in the league. It's going to be tough on the offense, and it showed as far as the stats and the way Matthew Stafford has played so far this year. The offensive line's not been great either. That doesn't help. But this is an interesting game because you have two head coaches that know each other inside and out, and they basically mirror each other with the same type of play calling. So when you come into this game, they will be able to be prepared a little bit for how the defense should be able to handle the opposing team offense because it's the same offense that they run and they're calling. So if you're calling plays, you should know also how to stop them, and they both do. The situation for the Minnesota Vikings, their off-season acquisitions on the defensive side of the ball have been really good. I really have been impressed, but I'm most impressed by Sam Darnold. A lot of people didn't expect anything out of him, but he clearly seems like he has learned from the past experiences that he's had. And the greatest thing is that he said he learned the most of his career last year sitting out for the San Francisco 49ers because they're a top-run organization, and they do things on the offensive side of the ball that are teaching material that he's learned greatly, and you can see it paying off. It doesn't hurt that he has the best wide receiver. Yes, the best. Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL, and then the rest of the core of the talent on offense has been pretty good too. So they've been able to make a lot of big plays through the air. They're passing the ball extremely well, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on a Rams defense that I actually have been impressed with the last couple of weeks. After the bye, they came back, they rechanged things on the defense side of the ball, and it's been going very well. So that's kept them in games. But the situation here, I try to do pros and cons for a lot of teams, and the pros for the Rams is the defensive side of the ball. As far as I'm concerned, one of the best draft picks was a guy from one of my favorite teams in college, the Florida State Seminoles, Jared Verse. He has been outstanding. This guy's a diamond in the rough. They did a great job drafting him, and he has been putting a lot of pressure on. He's got some good moves, and you can clearly see he is really ahead of the game curve for being a rookie and only playing 6-7 games. So I really like the play by him. Young guy in the safety position now for the Rams has been playing well. So they have some pieces. They don't have them all. This is still going to be a team in transition a little bit until they get these stars back. Now they say Cup may come back. We'll see. They've been saying this for a couple of weeks, but the Rams really need it because the offensive side of the ball, it's just tough on the quarterback when you really don't have a key number one, and I don't even know if they really have a number two without Nakua out as well. This here is a team, though, the Vikings, that are winning by an average of 10 points per game. They've been ahead a lot. When we look at the inside the numbers for the Vikings, they've actually ran, I think it's almost 60 less plays, and that's the problem, that they've been ahead pretty big, and then the other teams are forced to throw the ball, so it skews the numbers a little bit. But I've been really impressed by the Vikings team so far, and I have to admit, I really am impressed with the fight of the Rams. When I watch tape, I'm looking for little things, and there's a little thing that I watch in the games, and that's how the head coach is working with the players and instilling confidence and still looking like he's fired up for the games. And there's nobody more fired up for a game than the head coach of the Rams, McVay. So that's really been keeping, I think, this team that's really, in a way, playing with mirrors with the talent that's out there. But this is a team so far, this Rams team, that's played 6 games, and 5 of them have been decided by a touchdown or less. So they're hanging in games, and that means, one play either way, and the difference could have been that they could have a better record. As far as the Vikings go, they're going to be 5-1 either way. They could be 6-0 again if they just didn't give up a last second field goal last week, and they had an opportunity, made a penalty on their last offensive play to the Vikings that ended up costing them. They were going to go for a field goal. The Vikings have one of the best kickers in the league right now. He's 12 for 12. He's 18 for 18 for extra points, and the head coach has said often that he would send him out there for a 65-yard field goal try. there's a lot of guys out there that can't make 45-yard field goals. I mean, field goal kicking determines games, and there's a lot of field goal kickers that are bad. We've seen some teams, the Jets, just keep missing and missing and missing, and these are game changers. So that's been an advantage, of course, for the Vikings as well. But since the season opener, one of the cons for the Rams offense is, again, they've only passed 260 total yards passing once, and that's with an elite Super Bowl winning quarterback in Stafford. And I don't like the fact that there's a little bit of trade talks, which is normal at this time of year. But is it maybe time for him to move on? I can't see how the head coach of the Rams, McVay, would want that to happen. That means they would have to go into a complete rebuild, and he didn't come back to go through that for 3 or 4 years. So we'll see what happens. That's interesting to see. But the defensive side of the ball for the Rams is allowing a league worst 11.6 yards per catch. And why is that big? Because the Vikings have Justin Jefferson, again, I mentioned earlier in the video, the number one wide receiver to me in the NFL, not even close. And then you have a situation where he's at 16.1 yards per catch. Their next two guys are over 17 yards a catch. So if you're giving up big plays on the catch like that, like the Rams defense is, you would have to expect that the Vikings should be able to make a lot of big plays in this game as well. Very good meshing offense so far through 6 games for the Minnesota Vikings this year. For the Vikings, Sam Darnold, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 66% pass completions, and he just seems to be playing loose. Not really looking over his shoulder now with the young rook that got hurt already early before the season even started. So he's in there. He's in for the long haul, and he knows that. I think that's always been a positive for quarterbacks when they don't even have to look, and then a good start has gotten them in a better position as well. But the cons for the Vikings is the offensive line. 18 sacks allowed by Darnold. Now, some of it, Darnold's not a big scrambler, and of course, he's not the Daniels or the Lamar Jacksons of the world, but he's actually made some really nice, elusive plays. I've been impressed with some of them. So that number, it's going to happen if you're going to go back and throw, and you're going to try to throw deep a lot. You're going to get burned, and you're going to get sacked, and it's going to happen. But I do like that he's not really turning the ball over that badly. Some of the turnovers were really not even his fault. So out of 5 turnovers, 3 were his fault, 2 weren't. So that's not too bad through 6 games. I like that. As far as the opponents running more plays, later in the year that may start to take a little toll on the Vikings. But we're six games in so far, so I wouldn't worry about that at all at this point. But again, the Rams 3 home games. They won by 5, they lost by 5, and they won by 3. So the line here's 3. Obviously, on paper, the better team is the Minnesota Vikings. Not really even close, especially without the 2 superstar wide receivers for the Rams. But, the Rams have allowed 24 points or more in all their games, except their one game, the last one against the Raiders, whose offense is completely inept. So that's one negative side that you would almost have to expect that the Vikings should be able to get at least 24 points. And, sometimes you may want to be looking at a team total where the team total for the Vikings may be a better play than even laying the 3, just because of the fact that the Rams do play a lot of close games. So when we look at this game, it's a toss-up for me as far as with the line there. All games are not value plays, and there's no value to me on either side of the ball, although if I was in a contest and they said you have to pick a side, I would have to pick the Minnesota Vikings. But that's the beauty of betting, and that to be a long-term winner, the reason I'm a 35-year professional winning bettor is I don't have to bet games. And I've had clients over the years be really upset with me, and I've had guys say, hey, just pick the winner. It doesn't work that way. This is a game where the line is probably right. Maybe I would have made the Vikings 3.5, kind of skew you off of the Vikings and push you onto the Rams if I'm the bookmakers, and maybe it'll go there on Thursday. But doing this tape a few days ahead of time. But again, there's not always value on the game. It's okay to pass a game. I know it's not quite as fun when you're a guy out there betting average Joe bettor. But there's so many good games, and to me, this is the best slate of college football this year. And I'm one that's been just dominating NFL for a long, long time, for at least the last 12 years. And I'm having a tremendous season again this year in the NFL. So I waited out. And I always say that if the game was on the Thursday game or the Monday game, if it was on Sunday, would I be playing it? And if the answer is no, that I wouldn't have played it in the group with the big group of games on Sunday, then what the hell am I playing it on Thursday or Monday for? That means I'm just playing it to be in action. And if you're just in action, just to be in action, then you're going to be a losing better over the long haul. So you have to take that into serious consideration. And sometimes less is more. Watch the game, enjoy the game. If you're not going to watch, game tape in depth like I am, I know it's probably not as fun. If you want to make a small not a parlay, a small bet. I'm not a proponent of parlays at all. But if you want to make a small bet, then that's fine too. But don't bet what you can't afford to lose, and try to save your solid bets for better games where you can get value, and this is not one of those type of games. But sometimes these games turn out to be good ones. Last night, the Arizona Cardinals beat the Chargers, and it was a lower scoring game, 15-14, but it was a pretty exciting game. It wasn't bad for a game of that final score. So enjoy all the games this week. Check out all my other videos. I have a few up already: stock up, stock downs. Of teams to watch and watch to bet against, I guess, when they're stocked down. Take that into consideration, and keep checking out all our videos all year long, and hopefully we can make you a winning sports better by the end of the year. Have a great week, guys and gals.